Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Candy and I go by Sugar Cards on Facebook and Instagram for all of my paper crafting. Welcome to the Team Tiny Hop for YouTube. This is the August 2023 edition, Back to Basics. I am going to make a couple of Halloween cards here today. I'm starting with a couple of Halloween stencils, and I'm using the Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink on some green cardstock from my stash. And I like to use the Ranger foam daubers, the rounded daubers, especially with my intricate stencils. I try not to do too much back and forth. I do a lot more dabbing and twisting versus blending in circles so that the foam doesn't get stuck. I am using a Brutus Monroe stick and stamp mat to hold my cardstock in place while I am doing my ink blending. And I thought I'd make just a couple of simple cards for you guys today. As I finish up the front of this ink blending, I'm going to move on to another. This is an A2 card panel that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm just going to keep kind of finishing, putting that down and the black ink down, and I'm going to quickly wipe this off with just a little bit of stamp cleaner. I will wipe it off better later. I'm just wiping some of the excess off of the stencil before I remove it. After I remove the stencil, to get the cardstock off of the stick and stamp mat, you bend the stick and stamp mat back on itself carefully, and it will just peel right off. I also have the blending buddy, which holds around the edges of my stick and stamp mat to protect it from any over inking when I get, extra zealous with my blending. So for my second card, I'm going to use this bat stencil from my stash and on a piece of just light purple kind of lavender cardstock. I've been using a lot more of my scrap cardstocks this year, trying to use them up. I'm going to use a different foam dauber for purple, and this is the Simon Hurley Crown Mat ink. Simon Hurley inks are my favorite inks to use for colored inks. They just have great color and they blend very nicely. I have been a card maker for many years, but I don't make a lot of videos. It's kind of a new thing for me. So I am trying to do some more. So I hope you participate in the hop. It is a hashtag to hop, so you'll need to click on the hashtag to see the videos. This month there should be at the max 15 people. So hopefully you will follow along with everybody and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from me, and the like button, and comment if you're a new subscriber, or do you make Halloween cards, or do you skip Halloween altogether? All right, I've got both my backgrounds finished here, and I have sped this video up two times, so it is a little bit quicker. I am going to cut these down now to 4 by 5 1/4 with my Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer. I'm using a couple pieces of scrap paper that match my cards, and I put some double-sided adhesive on the back for the trick, and for the shadow I cut from the mats that I'm going to use underneath. So here you'll see me putting it together. I like to use double-sided adhesive with these intricate word dies, and then I just work letter by letter with each one to make it in the right spot. I like cutting the shadow layers out of my mats to save paper, and of course it always matches when I use colored cardstock, and no one will ever know because they're never going to see it. If you noticed, I had to cut a couple of black cats out of the black one as well. I'm going to use those for another project. So here I'm just kind of fiddling around trying to get this one to fit. I will use some liquid glue with the dot to get that in the right place. And then I will have my whole sentiment ready to go. Next, I'm going to get my cards on the mat. Here you'll see I'll put the green with the black ink on the black mat. And I like to put the adhesive on both of my card bases if I'm making multiples. And here I'm using the lavender will be on the darker purple mat. And to ink blend this and make it match perfectly, I used a little bit of the same ink on the edges of that mat to make them match perfectly. Once I get them lined up, I will double check and make sure I have even marks. If I don't, I will, like here, I have to trim off just a little bit because sometimes I don't cut straight. And I will just kind of even up all the edges by lining them up on the side. There you can see the back of my mat and where I cut some of the pieces out for this card and for a future card. And then I will get these put on a card base. These are top folding A2 cards, which are measured at 5¼ by 4½. I will then actually cut them down just a little bit too, so that they are cutting these down so that you see just a little bit of a white border on the sides. So my mats, I don't have the exact measurements on. I just kind of eyeballed it. I also like to use a little bit of liquid glue, especially on the corners and on the edges, just to reinforce that. And it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room. So I try to put it down so that it helps just lay flat completely. And then I'll just kind of get them lined up final there. I do know that once in a while, if I have a full mat and I don't quite have the right same cardstock, I do have to cut them off, but this time I wanted that little bit of white to show. And then you'll see up in the right corner there, I have an old Spellbinders pumpkin set, and I used one of them to cut out some vellum, and I'm going to put that behind my sentiment just so it sticks out a little bit. So I will use some liquid glue to attach the sentiment right to the vellum pumpkin, and then I will use that liquid glue behind on the vellum, just behind where the sentiment is, so you won't see it. And then I'm going to stick these in the bottom left corner. So just a little bit here and there, not a lot. I don't need a lot. This is barely arts glue, and it's very sticky. So I'm going to finish up both of these cards with the sentiments, and then I will move on to the inside. For the inside, I'm going to open them up and place them in my original size Misty, and put down my magnet, and I'm going to use this Happy Halloween from my stash right in the middle, and I will do black on the witch card, and I will do purple on the bat card, and that will finalize my cards. I really hope you enjoyed my card making today, the back to basics. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more things from me, and the hashtag Team Tiny August 2023 Hop will be in the description below, so you can click on that and see everybody else's, and hopefully you'll join us next week or next month. Have a great night. I will add a still photo of these cards at the end of my video. Have a great rest of your weekend, and happy Halloween.